Many, many years ago, I went out to eat with a friend of mine. And as it got time to leave, I said, I want you to go get in the car and get it ready to go. And he knew exactly what I was talking about. So he went out there and he got the car lined up in just a way that when I came out, he'd be ready to go. So I come flying out that door and screaming and yelling. And I jumped through the passenger window and he shot off like a rocket. And we had people running after us, chasing, screaming and yelling at us to stop. And we shot out of there like nobody's business. And then about 3 or 4 years ago, we went to that same restaurant, my wife and I did. And I was telling her about that story. And she said, well, praise God, you're no longer that man. No longer do you have to worry about things like that. And I said, yeah, praise God for grace. And as I sat and stared at the cashier, I thought, surely this isn't that same woman after all these years. And so when it got time to go pay the bill, I walked up to her and I said, ma'am, how long have you worked here? And she said, as long as I can remember, I own this place. And I said, really? And I said, well, two things. One is you need to add $30 onto that bill. And two is I owe you a huge apology. And she said, what do you mean? What's going on? And I told her about what I had done them many years back. And she said, well, why even mention it now? After all these years, I don't even remember it. And I said, well, I'm no longer the same as I was back then. I'm a changed man. And she said, well, what changed you? And I said, Jesus Christ. And she smiled real big. And she said, I'm glad to hear that. And I said, well, I feel like that if you've done a wrong, you should try to make it right, even if it's been 25 years. There is no statute of limitations for trying to correct the wrong things that we've done. And I believe that God will be just as glorified and honored today as he would have been had I done the right thing back then. But today I know Jesus Christ. Then I had an excuse. Today I don't. And she said, well, thank you so much. This means more to me than you'll ever know. She goes, it ain't about the money. It's about seeing Jesus Christ work in your life. And so we wind up giving each other hugs. And to this day, when I walk in there, she'll say, hey, Dwayne, how you doing? And so I want you to know the same thing. It's not too late to make what you done wrong right.